Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Liars Club. I'm Felicia Michaels.
And I'm Jessica Wellington. I'm very happy today.
It's already starting. Okay. All right, and what we do here at the Liars Club is we have two of our comedy pals come on. We ask them to tell two stories. One is the truth, one is a lie. And then we, along with people that are playing along, hopefully they are slowly starting to tune in, we will figure out which stories are the lie. Jessica, will you please introduce our guest? Start with the gentleman without the shirt.
Start with him?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I was going to save him as...
Okay, do what you got to do.
This lovely lady over here.
With her shirt on.
With her shirt on at the moment. Things could change. She is going to be in the Moscow Comedy Festival coming up.
Moscow, Idaho.
Hey. Still, Idaho's beautiful, by the way. Idaho's very beautiful. Yeah.
And she's winning festivals all over the country right now. She's just doing that whole circuit. She's a hilarious comedian. Put your hands together for LeeAnn Tucker.
Yay, LeeAnn Tucker.
Thank you.
Yay. I actually met LeeAnn when I got back into comedy, and we took a comedy class together because I had stopped.
Oh, you did the Pretty Women thing?
Yeah, because I had stopped doing comedy for so long, and I knew from having done comedy before, like, I got to start meeting all the open micers again to know where all the open mics are. And I took that class, and that's how I met LeeAnn. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Now, this next gentleman, I met him on Tinder.
Oh my God! Don't me too us here on the Liars Club. Don't get us in trouble.
He started it.
Well, he did take his shirt off.
It's great because I'm just letting Jessica do all the bad stuff, and I'm just enjoying the benefits.
Yeah. I mean, our audience is men, so it's really wasted on everybody.
Don't
pretty
say
much.
that.
Well, I mean that are watching along, playing along with us.
But it's not wasted on us.
Okay.
Now, let me introduce you.
Okay. Jesus Christ, Jessica.
He is a French comedian. He dresses.
What?
Where's this going? Wait.
He dresses French.
Wait, no.
He regularly opens up for Brian Callen. This is Malik B.
Yay, Malik B. Welcome to the show.
Malik B. Sorry.
Malik B. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So,
Feel free to put
what
some
we're gonna
water on
do? What?
This is really great because if I seem distracted, I have a legit reason. It has nothing to do with me telling
As
a
he
lie.
slides closer to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Come
I'll
on.
just be like,
Okay. All right.
I'll
Sorry.
be like,
about
I'm sorry,
that.
I am telling the truth. I can't pay attention.
We had a little bit of a distraction here.
This might be a good way to play the game.
Yeah.
You know, distract everybody, and we
shirtless men get away with lies. That's the moral of the story.
They call my body the distractor. So
Okay, there you go.
Me too.
Yeah.
Really?
But for two different reasons.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
She had to go for the joke.
Speaking of this sexy motherfucker to my right, please give it up for our on-air producer, Austin Lane Walker. Welcome to
to be
the
here.
show.
Go
Glad to
Gators.
be here.
So proud to be here.
Michael Evans isn't here today because he is sick, and in his place, is it Todd or Mike? Mike, Todd, Mike, Brett?
It's both of us.
Okay.
It's all
Oh,
of us.
tandem.
Right. Are you going to play along with the show?
Are you wearing shirts?
I'll play along. None of us are wearing any clothes.
This is awesome. I've never had so much fun at the
Wow.
Comedy Store.
I'm going to have so much eye contact with the camera right now. All right, so let's start off with our stories. And LeeAnn, why don't you go first?
Okay. Story number 1.
Okay.
A neutral.
you didn't do our Blue Apron.
Blue Apron is our sponsor. If you want to try a meal delivery service, give Blue Apron a try. Come on. Like,
you
aren't
won't have
sick?
abs like Malik, but
Yeah. Are you sick to death at the grocery store? Well, I'm fucking sick to death at the grocery store. You know what I do? Blue Apron. They also deliver wine. If you go to Blue Apron and you think you want to try it, here, do us a favor. Check out. When you get to the custom code box, put in liars, and you'll get either $30 off or 30%.
Because we don't know which.
Because we can't be bothered to look at an old email. But just try Blue Apron.
What the?
I know. Hey,
Okay,
just
all
go
right.
along with it, shirtless man. All right, LeeAnn, go ahead.
oh, I'm so glad I'm not the one that had to be shirtless. Okay, story number 1. So when I was very young, I mean much younger than I am now by that. I was
Okay.
age is unimportant. I knew I would get hung up on age. Sorry.
Wow, she's having like a
Okay,
crisis
Jesus.
right
I am. I'm having a meltdown. Well, there's, I don't know. A lot of things are going on. So I, for a time, worked at a topless bar. I grew up in Texas.
Uh-huh.
And did you do topless?
No, I was a waitress, and we were allowed to wear clothes.
Okay.
and it was just a lot more money than the office job I had. So
Have you ever been topless on stage?
no,
Oh, I did.
I
did tassels.
as a dancer or as a
No, as a comedian.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Don't look it up. You don't want to look it up. I've seen the picture. It's not okay.
Holy shit!
No, because it's in a comedy atmosphere, so it's not like you're.
It's not like at a topless bar.
No,
and-
it's like the worst lighting in a club, and she's just there with the tassels, like, "What up?"
No, I was
Like-
doing them. I know how to do
Did you
them.
make them like?
Oh,
Yeah.
you can. Oh,
It's really easy for girls with big breasts.
I have big boobs, but I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
I've
you
never
just-
tried it, but
I'll
I don't.
show
I don't
you
think I.
after.
Okay.
I'll show you.
You know, things, hobbies she had when she was in the Air Force. Okay, go ahead.
So, so I was waiting tables, and one night there was a guy who would come in on the regular. His name was Steve, and he was quite clearly gay, and would bring in really hot, younger dudes and buy them dances and drinks, and just to be in their company, I guess, or whatever. So he was a good tipper all around, and if you were waiting tables, you want to get Steve's table. So I got Steve's table, and all night I'm waiting,
I'm always
waiting on the
suspicious
table.
when somebody names someone Steve in a story.
Why? There's
It
a lot
just
of
seems
Steves out there.
It seems like a fake. Like, let me just throw. Oh, this is.
This was in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Shitload of Steves in Texas.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
yeah.
Yeah, come on.
So anyway, so I'm waiting on the table, and every good-looking guy there has a dancer in his lap, and they're all, and for the most part, I get along with the dancers, but it's a different kind of people in there, so sometimes
Did you get
there's.
grabbed and stuff a lot?
I really didn't, and you would think that. I mean, I was pretty young and like not on alert, so.
Right.
But surprisingly, maybe they just wanted the dancers. I don't know, but I really didn't have any issues like that, and so my main concern was really the dancers. There was like a lot of like kick your ass in the back, I'll fight, you know what I mean? And I'm not like a fighter person. I was smaller and more scared back then. So I'm waiting on the table, and there's this one girl.
As opposed to the tigress you are now. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
wow.
I'm not like a major fighter, but like I'm a little more like gonna stand up for myself with more ease. I don't
Okay.
care. So anyway, one of the dancers, her name was April, or her
Uh-huh.
dance name was April,
April showers.
is at the table, and she's like 5'7", 5'8", like I mean attractive but strong,
Right.
and she starts just like giving me a hard time when I'm going over there. I don't even remember all the different things that were a problem, but eventually she settled on, and I'm just trying to keep Steve happy and get my fucking tip, and eventually she settles on, this guy's my boyfriend, he's mine, stop, no. I'm like,
Talking about Steve?
no, the guy's lap she was sitting on.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, I don't want any part of this dude, which really was not. I was in a relationship. I was just there to make money. I'm not trying to screw dudes who are going to the strip club, but that was April's world, and And I'm like, no, I'm not April. No. Just like all night. Every time I'm over there, she's got some comment. She's got some whatever. And I'm like, just going along to get along. Night's over. Clear the tab. Get a tip. Going back to the back to grab my shit. I walk. There's like a cut through to the dressing room. I walk through. There she is. She's in like, G-string and heels and nothing. And she starts in again. And she's like, if she's in heels, she's like 5'10". I'm like 5'2". And she's getting all up in my shit. And I was just sort of like... had it. I just had like reached a point where I was not thinking rationally. She was just in my shit, and I was just fucking over it. It had been all night, and I don't remember what I said, but I pushed her. And then like as she's falling back, I'm like, oh.
So you were physical first.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But I promise you there was no like thought. It wasn't like, oh, I'm about to. It was just like bam, and then it was like, what the fuck did you do? Do you know what I mean? And then now my choices are like,
Run away.
stay and fight,
Yeah.
or run away and look like a
Right.
pussy, and like I probably can't ever work there again because they're gonna know I'm weak. It's sort of like jail. Like you got to go in there and kick someone's ass right away. Or what?
Do you think I could get a job at a strip joint now? Like not stripping, but like I don't know, house mom or something.
Like a house mom?
mom?
Yeah. That's what they're called, the house
Yeah.
mom. Yeah. When I worked at a strip club when I was 18, and that's what they called them, the house
I think
mother.
it'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if all clubs do it, but the club I worked with
Yeah,
had
a lot
that.
of them do.
Yeah.
We did not have.
That's
a
why
house mom.
I'm a little skeptical of when you said I wasn't on alert. You work in a strip club, you're fucking constantly on alert.
I was young, and I think I was just like, la la, look, now I make money. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't have any
Uh-huh.
concerns.
Right.
I mean, now I would have concerns. I would have concerns beyond even my safety.
How old were you?
I was,
How old?
I was like 19.
Uh-huh. And you were serving what kind of drinks?
All drinks. I mean, they did teach us a method that I don't remember now, where
Uh-huh.
you had like call them a certain way at the counter, but also you could just go to the bartender you liked and be
It
like,
was
I
like
need
a
two.
strip joint, like Waffle House strip joint. Smothered,
Actually,
covered.
Was it topless and bottomless or just topless?
Just topless.
Uh-huh.
Just topless. And it was actually, this is so humiliating, but it was also a sports bar. I mean, it's Texas, so it was like a sports bar / topless bar
It was a topless Hooters.
with also animals on the walls. You know,
And a
What was the
Rainforest
name of
Cafe.
What was the name of the strip club?
Colorado Bar and Grill.
And it was a strip club.
Yeah.
And so what happened after
It was
you
a
pushed her?
gentleman's club, Felicia.
Yeah.
This was Houston, Texas. Okay. It was a gentleman's club.
And so what happened after you pushed her?
So I pushed her. I was freaking out in my mind, and I did not, in my freak out, notice that there was a big scale, like the kind at the doctor's office, behind her.
Uh-huh.
So when I pushed her, she tripped over the scale and landed on the ground. I'm still in
There
my...
was a scale.
They weighed all the dancers. Like, you had to be a certain weight to be able to perform on the night shift versus...
Is that a thing?
It's a quality place.
Yes, I like that. I want to know.
You know,
I don't know if they're like that anymore.
Right. I can't. I never have a recollection of that, but you never know. You know.
Fuck. And this
Yeah.
is where again?
But Houston, Texas.
So she fell into the scale.
She felt, well, like, you know, the scale has that big bottom piece.
Uh-huh.
So she tripped over that,
Uh-huh.
landed on the ground.
Uh-huh.
I'm in fight or flight, like thinking, do I try to fight or is, you know, I'm not going to work here anymore, which is the equivalent
Right.
of running. And then I realized that she can't get up because something has happened with her leg, foot, ankle situation when she tripped. And then I got emboldened and I was like, yeah, April, just, you know, like leave me alone or whatever, you know. And apparently, I didn't know this, but she was not well liked by dancers. So then when it happened, I got a like, hey, you want us to help you finish her off? And I was like, no, it's cool, it's cool. And
I took care of this bitch. Don't worry.
So it was like a cool moment. But then I go home and I'm like, this bitch is going to get her ankle fixed and she's going to come up there and kick my ass or whatever. So the next time I have to go back to work, I'm nervous. And I go in, I'm not sure what to expect, and some dancer's on a stage, and she calls me over, and I come over there, you know, drink order. She gives me her order, and she goes, and get whatever you want, because I heard you kicked April's ass, and I hate that bitch. And I was like, yeah.
So you got some street cred.
I got street cred. April never came back, and the entire time I was there, everyone thought that I knew how to handle my business, which I do not, unless there's a scale right behind you.
Yeah. I don't know about this story. Right? I don't know about that. That kind of sounds a little hokey. I mean, first of all, strip clubs, they are pretty monitored in some sense. Like the strip clubs that I worked in, there were police in and out all the time, writing tickets and doing all that stuff. I can't believe that a strip club would risk their liquor license letting a 19-year-old serve alcohol.
That's a good point.
You can work in a strip club if you don't serve the alcohol.
Are you sure that's always been true in Texas? Because 100%,
No,
I was
don't know.
legal. I had
In
like
Colorado,
a,
that was the case. So you
Yeah.
know, it could be different, but I can't
I think it's
imagine
different.
that a club in well, you can't serve under the age of 21 in Texas.
I don't
There
think that was
are
true
some-
when I was 19, which we don't have to get into exactly when that was.
there
I
are
hope,
some
but
places though that you can serve alcohol at 18.
Oh, there are.
There are.
100%. Like I got paid like through, you know, like I filled out the IRS forms. It was
Uh-huh.
legit. It wasn't like
Where
a
is
cash
this
under
that
the
you
table
can serve
kind of thing.
alcohol under the age of?
I know that there are places.
Yeah,
Vegas.
but what? Really,
Like if
Vegas?
you work at Pizza Hut,
Uh huh.
you can serve alcohol at 18.
Right, but it's beer. It's not. Was that a hardcore bar? Was
Yeah,
that
no,
a
they
bar?
had everything. They
Yeah,
had everything.
Yeah, it's. It might be different. Yeah, yeah. Because I worked at a Pizza Hut when I was 17 or 18, like barely when I turned 18, and you could serve the beer.
Right.
But that it was like 3-2 beer. It wasn't like, it was a.
There was
you know,
no hard liquor.
Yeah, it wasn't
That's a
hard
good
liquor.
point.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
yeah, yeah.
It was all of it.
Yeah.
Malik, have you ever drank alcohol?
Never a day in my life.
Are you serious?
So serious.
Yeah.
Oh, if that's
Smoke
what
and
you have to
drink.
do to get abs like that, I'm out.
Speaking of, we have some comments online.
Okay.
I
know.
Kia says, man, those abs are distracting AF.
Right?
I said, thanks, Kia. I've been working on them. I don't know how he saw past the
wait.
iPad, but I appreciate that, buddy.
Wow.
I know. I don't think I normally talk so nervously.
Eyes up here, Kia. Eyes up here. Eyes
I
up.
appreciate you, Kia. Thank
He
you.
is at work too, doing like medical research.
He just drove by the store, he said, actually. So
Oh,
I don't know
okay.
why he's watching and driving. Shame
Yeah.
on you, but we're glad you are.
If we hear
Uh,
wheelies coming into the parking lot, you better fucking run.
Raver Basher says, hey, he's in the chat watching, playing along. Hostetter says that's how you get cut from a pimp if you do something like that
Yeah.
to a stripper or to a
Yeah.
sex
That's
worker, I guess.
good
So,
point.
Yeah.
and then in the
See,
booth there,
naive LeeAnn got real lucky then, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't believe
have
naive
many-
LeeAnn ever did it, but
Yeah, I
in the
don't
booth
either.
they're also calling shenanigans.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I was a stripper, right, I don't mean to always harken back to 3
No, but
years
this
of
is
my
your
life.
experience.
Oh, I
Right?
thought you were going to say to 3 years
there.
ago.
No, 3 years of
And
my
I was like,
life.
that's what I wanted to say so we could act like I'm super young.
But I remember, like, I'd done, like, a wet T-shirt contest a couple of times, and then they were like, you can't do the contest anymore. You actually have to work here. And on the first night of actually working as a stripper, other than the contest, I went down into the basement to go get changed, and there were 2 strippers beating the fuck out of another stripper. And when those strippers, I couldn't go back up because he wanted me to get dressed, the manager, right, to get my outfit on him. And I just sat down on the staircase. And these are some hardcore biker chick strippers. And there's just no way
No.
as an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old you would be emboldened because
I would have, but that's
There's
different.
there's
Yeah,
a
but that's
variety of clubs
different.
though, just to be clear. Like there were clubs there where like certainly those types of girls were, and then there were like 3 that they considered like the gentlemen's clubs, and that was
No,
one of the
same
ones.
girls, but they just comb their hair and shave their pussy
Like
a little bit.
ours,
Please,
we
same
weren't-
girls, same fucking girls. Please, they save the nice outfits for that. Same fucking girl.
Ours would get in trouble if they wore tattoos and shit. Like it was a different.
You don't wear
vibe.
tattoos.
If their tattoos were showing.
Say you wear tattoos. Yeah, you said wear tattoos.
And I have a
Fuck, you didn't
tattoo.
work in no fucking strip
I-
joint. He
Okay.
wore a tattoo.
A Texan housewife. They're wearing
I'm
tattoos.
not a housewife.
She's not a housewife.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah,
Well, I wish
just
I was a
can't
housewife,
imagine
'cause
that.
I'd love to have my
And how
bills
long
paid
did
for.
you work there?
Like 3 years.
You worked there for 3
Mhm.
years. How much money did you make a night? How many shifts a week?
The shifts would vary, but I made at the time what I thought was great money. But I was comparing that to an office job that was like probably $6 an hour or something.
Huh? How many girls worked in a shift? Like
How many waitresses?
in general, like on a busy night, on a Friday night.
Well, we stood at the door, and you would have to wait in a line, so that as they came in, you couldn't just handpick your person. Like if you're first in line, you get the person that comes in. That's why I got lucky to get Steve that night. Like you're
So you served per person, not table?
no, the table, but whoever comes in, like the waitresses are all in a line. So your party comes in, the first waitress in line is seating you guys.
And are strippers also waitressing?
No,
Oh,
they're
those-
out there doing their thing.
No strippers were waitressing?
No, you had to be one or the other.
Oh, really?
100%.
Was that in all clubs in Texas? You could.
I mean, I didn't go to all clubs, but I
Malik, when you stripped, did you serve alcohol?
I did not serve alcohol at all when I was stripping. I did private parties.
Can you turn Malik up just a little bit?
Are you
there-
still available for private parties?
She's got a private party in her pants. Anyway, so
No, I mean, I think Jessica wants to come too. We could, get
Yeah, we make
something
it up.
going.
Austin is very thrilled. By the way, is there any other questions, Austin?
Raver Batcher says he's sweating. It's getting hot over at his place watching the show right now. But he also says he's never been to a strip club, so he doesn't have a reference point on this story. I told him
Okay.
go down to Tampa.
Lie. That's a lie. You've been to a strip club.
The booth in there, they said this is some Kojak shit going down.
Yeah, meaning what?
I have no idea.
What is that? What is that reference, Mike?
The way you slipped in a couple questions about, well, how much money are you making?
Yeah.
And what are the shifts like? I know what you're up to. Also,
We're trying to pimp her out, dude.
no.
Well, it was so long ago. I don't remember
It
the
was
money.
was long ago. Was it perhaps 1998, 99 when you saw the movie Showgirls? That's the plot of Showgirls.
That is not the plot of Showgirls.
Seacrest out.
Wait, is that really the plot of Showgirls?
Never seen it.
I remember her thrusting, but that was it. Like on the ground,
That is absolutely the plot of Showgirls. Elizabeth Berkley shoves
No
Gina
way.
Gershon down a set of stairs when they're all working on the production.
Oh,
I didn't send anybody down a
Yeah,
flight of stairs.
you're lucky you didn't embellish it with that story of the ice on the nipples and Kyle MacLachlan.
Okay. Now we know your fetish. Okay.
It was a really lousy movie.
Okay.
Noted.
But memorable to you. Okay, so all right, well, let's move on unless anybody else has any comments. Is there anything you would like to say, Austin? Do you think this is a horse shit, right?
Yeah, I'm leaning towards this being a lie. I've only known LeeAnn for a short time, but she's so far been the nicest guest we've ever had. She brought us Valentine's Day
Yeah.
gifts, which no guest has ever brought us
Yeah.
gifts before. So
I don't
how can
see
I believe
this
that
chick
she would?
shoving an evil stripper down?
No.
Yeah. All right, Malik, your turn.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen.
I feel like that was just going to be ladies.
Well, I don't want to disinclude Raven at home. My story is back when I was a young lad, I used to be
How long ago was this?
Tuesday.
no wait, time out. It was a couple of years ago. Let's say 2004. I used to box. Right, I first started boxing in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I know my that's why I got this great body today. I used to box, and my dad took me to a guy who had Alzheimer's. So my first trainer had Alzheimer's. He was like 60-something, 70-something years old, and he'll forget what he taught me. So we'll work on the jab and the steps for like 3 months straight. And my dad finally came back to the gym because he dropped me off, and I go to boxing practice by myself. He was like, all right, I want to see what you're working on. And I'm still on the first base. He's like, what the hell? What are you doing? Like, you're not learning anything. I'm like, no, he's forgetting. So now the guy's like training me and stuff like that. I'm tall. Like, I'm like 120 at the time. Like, I'm 11 years old, 120. Right. And I was good. I keep people at bay with this jab. So he sent me on fights, and I just beat people with the jab hand. Right. And I thought I left, but I was awful. But I'll win. I'm on a win streak. So I'm the talk of the town. And my dad went to every fight. Everybody's
You're the belle of the ball.
the Bella ball. Yeah.
Wait, what town was it again?
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right. So I'm like cleaning Baton Rouge, Louisiana out. Then we go to New Orleans, cleaning them out. So in the state, I'm the best fighter in the state. I'm in the newspaper. My mom never been in one fight. Right.
So the best fighter in Louisiana.
Best
With
fighter in
one
Louisiana.
trick, with just the jab?
The jab, and I occasionally throw the right, left hand. But then I'm getting better at the time, right? And on this particular day, my mom never went to any of my fights. So let's say I had 40-something fights by now, right? My dad went to all of them. He'll tape it, we'll watch it. My mom was like, oh, no, he's not that good and all that stuff, right? They was like, listen. Then when she finally saw an article written up on me, she was like, I'll come to a fight, all right? So we get to the
So did you not live with your mom?
Yeah, we did. But she was like one of them things where she supported me by feeding me, but she didn't support me as by I'm gonna make sure he's strong and healthy, but I'm not gonna support him as far as I'm not, because she couldn't handle it. She couldn't take her son getting
No, was your mom and dad married still?
Yeah,
or
still
they're
married.
still together?
Still together.
Okay.
Yes, I have a big family, 3 sisters. I'm the only boy.
Okay.
So I had to, be a alpha male. And so my mom, she was like, she never wanted to see me fight. Like, we'll see videos, she would just be like, they was like, yo. So she saw the newspaper. Finally, she was like, yo, all right, I'm gonna come to your fight. This particular thing, it was the Golden Gloves tournament. Now, the Golden Gloves is one of the biggest tournaments all across the.
Probably why they call it golden.
Yeah. So. Well, goddamn, Jess. God damn it.
Right? I feel that way too sometimes.
What the hell?
No, she does that. It's so
God,
annoying.
I was in the it was getting okay. The
All
Golden
right.
Gloves. It was one of the biggest tournaments. I was undefeated. I was tall. I was fighting guys who was way shorter than me because I was tall and lanky and I had long arms.
So it was not fair. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's fair.
No, that's just
That
yeah.
is
That's
fair. It was-
That's fair.
It's
Yeah.
in my weight class.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. So my mom was like, I'm gonna drive to Mississippi with y'all. So I had my mom in my car, my car in the car with me. I was so excited that this is her first fight. I'm like, okay, she's really about to see I'm good at it. So my dad, all the coaches, we in one big van, and we drive to Mississippi. That's
It goes from car to van. Is that what we're doing?
okay. Well,
Malik?
okay. Listen, the van. Everybody's in the damn van, Jess.
Jessica.
God damn, car,
I know,
van.
I know.
It's the van. It's a lot of people was in this damn automobile, right?
Okay.
A van is an automobile.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. So we're in this automobile, right? And I'm excited. I'm telling my mom, I'm showing her little tricks in the back seat. We get there. I'm matched up with the guy who's like #1 in Mississippi, right? And he's bringing a lot of people. And I'm like, yo, so it's like, 7 of us? Like, okay, cool. But everybody knows me. They're like, oh, that's the guy from Louisiana. So I'm walking around showing my mom. I'm like, yo, hey, they treat me like a little celebrity. So I get in there, and I go against this guy. He beats my ass, right? It gets to the point my mom walks out the gym in like the 3rd round, right? But then she comes back, and the guy's mom who was fighting me, they were talking shit. Like, and my mom gets upset. She's like, hold on, wait, what? Then they get into it. My mom beats up his the guy's mom in the ring. And I was like, oh shit. And then my coach is like, hold on, everybody grab my mom back. And I never forget, my mom was like, yo, we got one today. We got one today. And my mom was like, listen, I'm never coming to one of your fights again because everybody's lying. I knew you couldn't fight. True story.
That is a true story. True story.
Yeah, maybe if I had ended mine with that, it would have gone over. True story.
True story. You gotta add the true story at the end.
Right. Huh. That's
Yeah, let's go. Let's unpack.
Am I allowed to be part of
Please.
this?
Please,
Of course,
unpack
of
it.
course.
Let's talk about
I
it.
just think he seemed easily thrown by like a very simple question or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jason Marino said you killed his tempo. Raver Basher said she tripped him up, tripped the trick.
Yeah, but I do that to him all
Well,
the
it's
time.
our
To be
relationship.
fair, we pick on what he wears.
But does
and
he always
stuff
forget
a
what he's
lot.
saying when it happens?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because she's like, she's so dominant towards me. So that's why I'm so mad. She had to say something. I was,
Yeah.
that's-
well. I mean, you don't sound like you have much of a Southern accent.
Well, he's from Louisiana. It's not
Is it
typical
different?
Southern accent.
Well,
Yeah,
I moved out here in 2006 after Hurricane Katrina. My dad is
Okay.
originally from out here, so he moved the whole family.
What happened to
Oh,
your fighting
okay.
career after you moved?
I just did wild card boxing gym. Like, it was like after that, I just like my mom put me in acting, which is weird.
So why did the guy beat you up? Like, what
Well,
what advantage did he have?
That's
over
what boxing is usually. It's
Yeah.
You?
one
No,
guy
I
can
know,
hit
but
him
what
again.
advantage
Well, he
do you
kept-
think
so
he
well.
had?
That.
Yeah.
He was short and stocky. He was bigger than me, so
Uh-huh.
he kind of like he got on the inside, and I couldn't use my jab, so he would just hit me, and I didn't know I didn't have an inside.
They probably
fight.
had already studied you. They're like, well, he only has one move.
Were you bloody? Were you bloody on the face or
Nah,
like what
we
kind
had
of?
we had headgear on, so it was amateur boxing. I should have said
Uh-huh.
that. Yeah.
Was that the biggest beatdown you ever got? Boxing.
Nah, that wasn't the biggest beatdown.
Yeah.
Nah,
And when your mom was beating up his mom,
rocked her.
what was her move? Like, what's your mom's move?
Oh, she grabbed her by her hair and was throwing uppercuts. I kept hearing the word bitch, bitch, bitch behind it. So
Uh huh.
I feel like I've seen that in a movie.
what?
Oh, you
What,
need to calm
Showgirls?
down.
Yeah.
Wasn't that in Showgirls in 1998?
What do you think, Mike? Hello?
Oh no, it's Todd now.
Oh,
back
it's
here.
Todd now.
Yeah.
Todd over here
Yeah,
smoking.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, yeah, I think this is the plot of Creed 2, but
What the hell?
Creed 2.
I was in Creed 1.
but no,
If you want to plug in Creed.
I buy this story.
You
I buy
do?
this
You
story.
do?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever box when you were a kid?
No, I did some like circuit trainings. Yeah, that was fun.
Okay. All right. What are the listeners saying? What are the people playing along saying?
Doesn't seem like anybody online is really buying this story. In fact, somebody even said Golden Gloves is the most important tournament there is. I'm not buying it. And I know for a fact that that is like the biggest
But
tournament there
was
is. But
that
I
in the-
also know somebody that has fought with it, so maybe it's not that
But
common
couldn't it
for
be the
amongst the boxing
biggest
community.
within his amateur boxing, world?
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think I addressed that as one of the biggest. It's not the
Well, you were
biggest.
like, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's the Golden Gloves
Oh, yeah.
tournament.
Oh,
That's how he talks, though. To be fair, I'm
Well,
gonna tell
some
you
people
that.
don't know boxing.
I didn't know your
I don't-
listeners. Yeah,
If
that's
I
what
was
I'm
talking
saying.
to girls, I would be like, I don't know if you know.
And by the way, the
Sexist.
biggest tournament is the U.S. Olympic trials.
You heard him.
True story.
But your face doesn't look like it got beat down a lot.
Oh yeah, well that was like
That's a
one of my
good-
few. That was one of my few
Oh.
because I know how to move my head, but that was one of my few like losses that I took
Uh-huh.
in my career.
Yeah.
That was a good
Yeah,
one,
I don't see
Felicia.
any scars, nothing
Well,
on the eyebrows.
Look, I have a. Look,
I
you
have
see
more
this-
scars
see
than
this
you
cut-
on my
see this
eyebrows.
cut right here. Like that's from my head.
It's
but-
probably all under the beard.
Huh.
That's why.
All right. Well, you know what? That's a good story. That's a good, solid story. I mean, this is a podcast and a game, and sometimes simple, as I've said many times before, a simple story is a best story. But I love that your mom beat the shit out of that
Beat the
lady.
shit
yeah,
out of
her.
yeah. Did she get in trouble for that? Did you get
Well,
kicked off?
we all just left, and
Uh-huh.
then my mom was like, "Don't ever take." Was so mad
But
at my
she
dad.
didn't get. But you didn't get
No,
in
this is-
trouble for that,
No,
or
we were-
would the
this whole gym was black.
Well, I know, but did someone call the police?
You didn't
Nah.
know
No,
that?
the whole gym was
What?
black.
Called- yeah, what he called
They
it.
did not
Well,
call
I
the
don't know. I
police.
don't want to. I don't want to.
Thought that was- I thought that was-
assume. I don't want to be that
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
I don't want to
nah,
assume.
nobody. Nah, they just separated each of them, and then I tried to fight the kid afterwards, and it was they just like we left immediately.
How did that make you feel that your mom fucking can throw one and you that day not so much?
I was like, yo, I used to have my dad a hero. I was like, my mom is really my hero. Like real shit. Like she can fight. I never seen my dad fight, but that day I saw my mom, so I was like, yo, I need to be training with my mom.
I just find it hard as a mom that if your kid had 40 fights and then suddenly you're like, all right, I'll go to this one. I find that kind of hard to believe.
Well, it did sound like this was a big one, and
Yeah,
it was in the newspaper.
But 40 fucking fights and
Yeah,
you don't
but she
go
didn't want to
it?
see her baby getting
Yeah.
hurt.
She was one of those moms.
Uh-huh.
You know, I do get that.
Uh-huh. You do get that?
Yeah,
But she
like,
made
I
sure-
feel like
Being that you
Jessica's
never
just
had
going to
children.
side with Malik regardless of what he
no,
says.
listen.
All
I
his
see.
stories
dated
are
a lot
true.
of black
You-
men
you-
with kids. Okay.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. Jess, I was just about to say, I can see you a mother figure, but okay, damn. All right. I didn't know you was going that route. I didn't know.
All right. Well, we're gonna move it on unless you have anything you would like to add to that, Austin, who needs a cup of coffee and needs to wake the fuck up.
Raver just happened to say that he thinks it is a true story, in
Okay.
fact. So I don't know if it's the fact that you don't have your shirt on, you're swaying him, or what, but
Oh, yeah. Should I have
Yeah.
come out here in something more provocative?
With a
Wait,
waitress
wait.
platter or whatever they call
I will
it.
say, I
Old
just
LeMay.
found out that we have some listeners at a Mercedes dealership that are
Uh-huh.
some saleswomen,
Uh-huh.
and they might really enjoy this.
Uh-huh.
Because my favorite car is the Mercedes Benz.
look at him still trying to compete
Look
with Willie
at
Mack.
that. Look at that.
No, it
Look
wasn't.
at
He
that.
can. Willie can't do that.
He does it for ranch.
Yeah. You guys have to look back at our episode with Willie Mack because he takes his shirt off, and whoa.
And so does Austin.
What is
Yeah, I
it
did
for?
too.
What
Whoa.
is it?
Okay, but at least this day is making more sense now. I did not realize that in a prior episode there had been a
Oh, we
shirt
encourage
removal.
all black
Yeah.
men to take their shirts off, honestly.
I mean, I'm not
is-
against
that
it.
is not so. It's just her wishes. Okay, so Jesus, let's try not to get kicked out of the comedy store,
Yeah.
and that would be ridiculous if we're the ones that got kicked out.
Wouldn't it?
All right,
Finally,
go
the
to
comedy store puts their foot down.
yeah, they'll put
harassment
their foot down
and
on
then-
us. All right, so go to your
my
second
God.
Okay,
story.
second story. I was 9 years old, still in Houston,
Uh-huh.
and my brother and I, my mom, like for 2 weeks.
Hold
out
on,
of the-
Kia just said there must be a puddle under the table by now.
over there.
Fuck, man. If
gross,
if Jessica gets wet, it's like the fucking Titanic in here. We'd be like,
I love how Felicia knows
Yeah,
exactly
I was gonna say
what
that. The rumor's
Like,
already swirled.
I've been there
so-
before. You don't want to do it. It's like the Titanic.
okay.
You guys are close hosts.
Close,
you guys
All right, go to your
really
second
know each
story.
other. Okay, so I'm 9. My little brother is 3.
Uh-huh.
And every summer, my mom would take us to Alabama to spend like 2 weeks with my grandmother, which was amazing because she was like a normal adult. You know, like we got to be kids or whatever. That's a side note, but I guess I just wanted to shout out my grandmother. So anyway, so my mom was trying to save money on the tickets. And so for us to like fly cheaper, it was either fly cheaper or to be able to fly without a parent. I'm not sure which.
Uh-huh.
I had to be 12 and my brother had to be 5.
Uh-huh.
And I'm already a very small child and probably don't look the 9 that I am. And I was a tomboy and very against dresses. My mom made me wear a dress.
I'm sorry that you're a tiny person and it
No.
vexes you because
I
this is
was
your
a tiny person when I
second-
was 9.
Second
thinking the
story
same
that
thing.
you're like, I'm so tiny.
No, I was saying I
beat
was.
up a hardcore stripper. I'm so tiny, but I pretended I was 12
That
on
is
a
me.
flight.
That is me lamenting the fact that I used to be tiny. In both of these stories, they are in the
Okay,
past when I
okay.
was, in fact, tiny.
Okay.
I'm not tiny now. We don't
No,
need to
you're
prove
pretty.
it.
You're pretty tiny.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not going to argue with you, even though you're incorrect.
By the way, I do say you have a fun size.
So, oh well, look at this, guys. Oh, things
There
are
you go.
Now there's 2 puddles.
Do me. Do me next.
By
Do
the
me
end of
next.
the episode, we're like this on the waves, just riding the. Okay.
All right.
All right. I know this whole thing's really.
Okay, so
Okay.
you're pretending to be 12. Your brother's pretending to be 5. You're flying from Texas to Alabama.
My mother made me wear a dress. She made me wear a bra, which I did not need, and she made me stuff said bra.
You need a
And
bra at 8.
at 9, well, I was supposed to be 12, but even then at 12, there's tons of 12-year-olds with no boobs, so it really didn't make sense. But that's what she did. And Kevin's supposed to be 5. I'm fine. I can lie at 9. Kevin's supposed to be 5. He's 3. We're sitting in the seats. Flight attendant comes over, probably just making conversation with kids. Oh, you're so cute. How old are you? He's like 3, and I'm like, he's 5. And then she was like, okay, da da da. And then she came back. She asked some other questions. Like just throughout the flight. Like, and how old are you? I'm 12. Oh, okay. Where are you guys going?
But
to see my
before the
grandma?
flight takes off.
No,
or
this is
just-
all throughout the.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Throughout while we're sitting in the
Okay.
seats. I don't even know that I could tell you when we were moving or not moving. So then, somewhere at some point in the flight, she comes over and says, because you guys are children, we're going to have to escort you off when we land, da-da-da. I'm like, okay, that, sounds fine. She takes us off the plane, when we land, and we walk out, and there's like 3 officers there, like airport security maybe, but they looked like police officers to me. And she's like, you're going to go with these gentlemen. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm not tripping too hard. And then they put us in separate rooms. And then I'm alone. They come back to me. They say, I've been talking to my brother. We know he's 3. How old are you really? And I thought about lying because if I get caught not telling the truth, my mom's going to kick my ass, like for busting her. But at the same time, I was sort of pissed off about the bra situation. So I confessed, and I was like, yeah, I'm really 9. She told me to say I was 12, and they were like, why? And I was like, I think it was cheaper tickets, And then they were like, well, what is your name? And I told them, and they're like, they're asking me like questions like, did I know?
Have you taken off yet?
No, we are landed. We are in Alabama.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. We are in Alabama. They've escorted us off the plane, which I think is because we're children, until we're off the plane, and then we're now off with these airport security people. They're asking me if I knew anyone else on the plane, if I had any friends on the plane, all this shit. It literally was like 4.5 hours in these different rooms.
And
I'm
where
like,
was your grandmother?
Yeah.
that's what I kept saying. My grandmother's coming to pick us up. You've got to find my grandmother.
Yeah,
You've got to
she
tell
should
my
have been at
grandmother.
the gate, though, because back in those days, you could go to the gate.
Well, I thought about it because they were asking me all those questions, and obviously, we had I don't know how they did it back then, but obviously I had no, like, identification or anything, so.
I don't know. I flew. I remember I was like 9 to go see my mom. My mom was finally out of prison for a little bit. My dad let me go down and see her. And I flew, no problem. Like, I was like 9 years old. They sat me in the front. That's it. When I got off the plane, my mom was right there at the gate.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
With
don't
her
know if
new
I was supposed to
boyfriend,
be
Jerry.
12 so that we could do it, or if I was supposed to be 12 so that she would save money. But I knew that my mom was grilling me on not fucking up the lie.
I would probably think it would be more about your brother being 3.
And maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I just know what we were supposed to say,
Right.
and then that it wasn't going down the way I'd wanted to. And initially, I was like, my mom's going to kick my ass. This is going to be really bad. And then it went on so long that then I was like, I feel like my mom's going to be pretty pissed off about this. You know what I mean? And then my grandmother finally, I don't know what happened on the other side, but now we're released to my grandmother, and they were pissed. And it made like the local news that they had detained children without, parental, whatever, guidance
You
or
guys
someone.
both had to have stories that you made the news, huh? The newspaper.
Well, I wasn't escorted around like a celebrity. I was just detained, and then they put that on the news. And then to this day, if you bring up like airport security or whatever, my mom will be like, "Do you remember that time?"
Huh.
That does
Fucking
sound
airport
right.
security.
Yeah.
I
I'm more
believe
apt
because
to,
of the accent.
I'm more apt to believe that story
Yeah.
than the
Yeah,
stripper
me too.
story. Yeah. Yeah.
But a lot of vivid detail for a 9-year-old
To be
kid.
detained, though, and then it just seems weird that her grandma wouldn't have been right there at the gate and seen security take her off and be like, "What? Hey, wait, that's my kids." That's
Yeah.
my
What year
grandkids."
was this around?
This is in the 80s.
Okay.
Yeah, this is.
The movie Airplane came out in the 80s.
Okay. All right. Well, what are people saying? What are your thoughts? Anybody?
I-
Todd? Anybody?
I definitely think that one's more believable because
Yeah.
it just seems
Yeah.
like something that she could do, but I don't know how she could remember such vivid detail at 9 years old. I'm trying to think of a memory that I have at like that same age that I remember as vividly, and I don't
Well,
have
yeah,
anything
on
right
that
But were
plane
you
when I was
detained by
9,
police?
I
Yeah.
threw up on that plane. I remember that clearly because I got a virus.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to see my mom
Yeah.
because I never got to see her. I was a real sad kid, you know.
I got lost in the woods in Berlin, Germany when I was 9 for like a whole day, and I remember a lot of stuff about that. So yeah,
you
that
remember
part-
stuff.
Yeah.
When I was 7, I took a shit in the fitting room, and I remember that vividly. The Dillards, I remember that. My mom whooped my ass. I remember
Stories
that
like this is why we need his shirt off. To
Yeah, yeah.
combat that.
All right. Well, Todd,
Make
your
up for shit
thoughts? Your
stories.
thoughts
You're
on
hot. Okay,
this?
okay. That's fine.
Yeah, I buy this story.
Yeah,
Seems
I buy
all
this
right.
story. Yeah, I buy this story.
She might be the most twisted player of all
I
time.
know.
Yeah,
What if?
yeah.
What if? Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe.
I think she's
maybe.
feistier than you guys are giving her credit for. I think she's trying to play it down that she's this tiny girl. Oh my God.
Was a tiny girl.
With the giving out chocolates.
I could never.
Well, I mean, I don't know LeeAnn like we're besties by any sense, but I've been off and on around her here and there, and I'd have to say that this is, she's representing herself correctly. I mean, like.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the psyching us out. So
Uh-huh.
if she keeps saying that, then we would never believe that she pushed a stripper.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hostetter believes it because he says, I have parents who still blame me for foiling their scams, so, could be true.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's
I
move
knew
on.
better.
Let's move on to Malik's second story.
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen?
Good.
This is number 2 for me.
All
Back
right,
when I
you
was-
can talk regular.
I know. Why does he sound like we're about to? He
Probably says that right before he has sex too.
He's like, okay, ladies, here's story number 2. Wow.
You ready for story number 2?
I want to come back and do my stories like
Yeah,
that.
wait, hold on. I thought it was Valentine's Day. This is a Valentine's Day
Okay,
edition,
fair
so
enough,
I just
fair
figured,
enough, fair enough,
like,
fair
why
enough.
not? It's a lot of,
Yeah, fair enough.
estrogen. All right, look, now, back when I was a young man in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
again.
Okay.
When I was a young lad, now I'm a young man.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Okay.
I was chasing tail, and when I say chasing tail, I was trying to get some vagina. Right.
Was
And-
this after a hurricane?
Nah, this is before. This is before.
okay.
So we're in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
How old were you then?
I was like 15
I thought you said you moved to L.A.
in 2006. Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 16 in 2006.
So in 2000. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I was born in 19.
These are all acceptable questions when you're young.
I know.
When you start asking me questions like that, I'm like, oh.
I know. Hurricane Katrina was in 2000 and oh, actually, it was in 2005, right? No, it was in 2006. I'm sorry. What, 2005?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got my little facts off. I was 15 then. I was 15.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
15 years old, and I was chasing tail. And when I say I was chasing tail, I was chasing vagina.
We heard that part.
Okay. I want to reiterate because some questions.
I wrote it down for you.
Okay.
What's up with you?
Sorry.
You're like, did
I
you?
don't-
5:13,
I know.
I don't think
okay.
Austin's getting any.
The Bachelor's coming on tonight,
Okay,
Felicia.
okay,
We
Yeah,
gotta-
all right, all right.
I know.
Well,
I'm
shit,
like, what is up? Are you
sorry.
okay? Are you all right?
Yes, I'm great.
Okay. Are you?
By the way, welcome back, VJ.
Are you
He says
distracted
he's
by the
hooked. He's tuned back
Okay.
in.
Oh,
back
well,
in,
welcome
okay.
No, I
back.
want to be shirtless, and they won't let me. So.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
Come on now, Austin. Let's be real. Come on now. Let's be. I auditioned for the Bachelor. I didn't get it.
you're really mad right
No, no.
What if that he was really mad about that
I'm
shit?
not
What if
actually
he-
mad at all.
Yeah,
I've had
I
a
know.
great
He
day.
does like to take his shirt off, and we were
Yeah.
like, Austin, not
all
all
right,
the time.
take
Oh,
your shirt
really?
off.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, do you enjoy it?
No, no. I mean,
It's a good feeling. It's a good feeling.
it does
It's
feel
a
good, especially in a
does feel
hot
good.
room.
Exactly
like
like
this.
this. I get it. And you layered up. I feel bad.
Well,
for you.
I thought it was gonna be cold. You
I
thought the
did
same thing. We
too.
said.
Yes, I am.
All right.
Yep.
All right, I'm
So I
sorry.
don't show my upper arm, so nothing's
So you're
coming off.
chasing. You're
I'm chasing-
chasing tail.
Chasing tail. 15 years old. My sister. She
Had you already had sex before?
never had sex.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a virgin. So I'm doing whatever it takes to get the vagina. And my sister, right? She's moving away from college. She got accepted into Clark University,
In,
right? Clark, Atlanta,
Okay.
right? So she goes away. She goes away to like, I guess you gotta like, what is it called? When you
I don't know. I
visit
didn't
the
go to
school.
college.
When you visit, I know it's called
Oh,
something.
like orientation. or
Orientation.
something?
There it is. Orientation. Right.
The tiny
I was
chick went
plotting-
to college.
So
Of course she did.
So me and my best friend was messing with these sisters. Like he'd been having sex with his girl, and mine was a little bit younger. And I think she was 14 and I was 15. I was like, all right, bet this is the day. Like we've been talking about it all week. We've been plotting to steal this car. My sister had a green Mazda car.
You've been plotting to steal the car?
Steal her car because she's away, right? My mom is gone. It's just me, my dad, and my other 2 younger sisters, right? So the car is just sitting there. I'm like, all right, this day when my dad leaves to go to work, we're going to go take the car when they're home because their parents are not going to be home and go over there and get the vagina. And
The only thing is this seems a little too plotted out for me for a 15-year-old. I stole some cars
Oh.
when I was 15, like my friend's mom's car.
yeah.
Right.
But it was like a spare of the moment. We just like, let's just fucking do it.
Oh, I planned some shit.
I
I
know,
planned-
but,
no, but I had a
Jessica,
strict-
not
I had-
everybody's mother was a meth addict.
Yeah,
okay.
and also- God damn.
And
Oh,
lived,
shit.
No, and lived hard and fast.
But if you're trying to find a
You
way
know
to
what I mean?
fuck,
Yeah,
like,
you
there's
do it.
planning goes
I was
into
planning,
that.
and plus, I've been talking to this girl for months, so it was the time where I had to, wear her down. Like I'm chopping up the tree. I'm like, yo, your parents not gonna be home. I think it's like, yo, I think we're ready. And she was like, all right, cool, yeah, we're doing it. All right, I was like, bet. So I was like, this day, I was like telling my
Yeah, that's
friend.
how it went. I'll cool, bet. Yeah.
I have
bet.
sons. I'm sure it did go that way.
Felicia would know better.
What the fuck? All right. So here's the thing. I didn't know how to drive yet. So my friend who stayed down the street with the sister, I had to drive to his house to go down the street, and he'd drive 10 minutes or 15 minutes where the girls stayed. So we get over there, and he was like, yeah, man, I stole this car for you. Yeah, let's go. So he gets in there. Him and his girl already hooking up. Me and my girl in the other room, and she's still like playing with the vagina. And I'm trying to figure out, why are we still playing? Like, I don't, like, come on. We're on a time frame. My dad gets home from work, right? So I'm like trying to like get it in, and she like, no, stop. I'm like, stop for what? Like, I'm not about to see you in a minute. Guess who started blowing up my phone?
Your
my
mom.
my father.
Mm.
My father like
I
calling
thought
back
your
to
mom was gonna bust in the room and beat
Nah,
her ass.
What if she did? Motherfucker. I'm like, damn, mom, you still got that hook. Nah, she's away with my sister at Clark Atlanta.
okay.
So my dad is blowing up back to back to back. I'm like, oh shit, I'm not about to see you in a long time. Like, I'm about to go to jail. Like this is the day. If it was all
To go to jail, you gotta have sex.
you gotta have sex with me. Please. I'm begging at this point. Like, please. And my phone is going off the hook. And when I tell you it's ringing off the hook, it's ringing off like back to back to back. Like my dad is calling me like I'm cheating. Like that's kind of like, and I'm like, oh, yo, please, Jazz, I'm back. I'm really like, yo, I'm not. Can I just see it? Like that kind of desperate. And then then I see like 6 voicemails, right? So I'm like, all right, let me just listen to one. My dad was so calm. He was like, look,
Oh, that's even creepier though.
yeah,
Oh,
it's like he was
yeah,
like,
when
yo,
when I say to my sons all the time, beware when I'm calm.
he was so
'cause you are
calm.
fucked.
He was like, bro, if
Totally.
you don't have, he's like, I know where you. He said, I don't know where you at, but if you don't have this car back here in 10 minutes, I'm gonna call the police on you. Say you're joyriding. I didn't even know what joyriding meant at that time. I was
Right.
like, oh, I'm having fun riding. I didn't know.
10 minutes, that you could have sex 7 times. Given that you're
Oh,
15.
yeah, I listen. I've been watching a lot of porn at that time, so I knew all my positions I wanted to do there. I'm like, yo, listen, girl, you fucking this up for us, please. So then I'm like, yo, fuck it, let's go. So I bust up in the room with my girl. And he like, what is it? I'm like, bro, we gotta go. And then he was like, man, nah, let me put some clothes on first. And I asked this girl, I was like, yo, can I get some before I leave? And he was like, what the fuck? I was like, bro, she looked good naked. He was like, bro, get out of here, right? So,
Yeah, that was an idiot move. Go ahead.
bro, but I needed vagina. I did all this shit for no pussy, right? I'm so upset, right? So then I was like, man, I'm never gonna talk to you again. She was like, come on, let's go. I was like, are you for real? She was like, no. See how easy it is for you to like just like that's all you think about is vagina. That's all you want me for. I'm like, you motherfucker, right? So we get my man get in the car. He drives me home, right? And I have to drive down the street because I didn't know how to drive. So I'm like, all right, cool. I drive down. I get in the driveway. I bump my sister's car on this so we had like this little box like where we put plants in. It was like a little
Planter.
a planter. Yeah, my mom was big in gardening, whatever. So I hit that, skirt that. My dad gets outside. He looks at the car. So okay, he didn't give me a whooping. He took all my shoes. He took all my clothes, and he said, "Bro, you ain't going outside for like a long time. So get used to it. Read books." And that's how I know my 8 parts of speech.
I really thought he was going to end with, and that's how I know my ABCs.
True story.
Wow. Wow.
True story.
So
Wow.
did when did you lose your virginity?
I lost it at 16 with a very woman.
Woman.
Well, she was into women, but she was a stud.
She made an exception.
No, exactly. So her and her
So
boyfriend.
did Willie Mack. Now go ahead.
Look, you're freaking him out now.
Serious. He had a kid with a stud like woman who's lesbian now.
Fucker. He sure
You guys
did.
have a lot in common.
He sure did. And by the way, Willie Mack is my arch nemesis for people.
Well, you know, I wouldn't share that story a lot if I was you, because it doesn't make you look good even with you sitting there with your shirt off. It doesn't make you, am I right? It's kind of like that skirt's like that. I thought you were gonna fess up that, something where it's
It
like
sounded
you might not wanna-
non-consensual at one moment.
At one moment.
No, well, I mean,
But I also
I'll
knew,
apologize.
like,
This is
I was
back in
picturing a teenage boy's
At
mind.
15,
No,
yeah.
And these are his
so
thoughts
so
and
I'm
not-
glad that it didn't happen that way. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
When I said consensual sex, we don't say if it's a no, we don't go. And
Yeah, but so I was worried that you were gonna say something where you'd be like, "Oh fuck, dude."
oh no,
Yeah,
no,
where
no,
we have
no.
to be like,
No,
"Er,
no.
please
Yeah, we
let
had to.
this be the lie."
Yeah.
But it does kind of sound true to me because of the detail of hitting the planter.
Yeah.
And the detail of when you were saying, and you said the girl's name. When
Yeah,
you were,
Jazz.
yeah, and that you were using your hands. And it seemed to me like like sometimes when people use their hands like that,
Oh.
it's like, you know what I mean? You're just reliving
You're
that
back
moment.
in that
Yeah,
moment.
Yeah.
It's weird. I thought there were times where I was like, yeah, this seems true. And then there were times where I was like, no, this is rehearsed.
Uh-huh.
Especially like in the beginning, like 3 restarts all started with like the same 2 lines. Like,
Well, I wanted them to know I was chasing a vagina.
see?
Right.
Never stopped, did you?
Yeah.
You never stop chasing the tail. You know, you just keep going. Okay.
All right. What are people saying?
Talk to me, people.
Well, there's a lot of Spanish language chat going on right now in the chat
Oh,
room,
I
so
got
I actually
Latino
don't have a
fans?
damn clue what's going on.
I got
But,
Latino.
He's very excited
yeah,
about that.
Kia, on the other hand,
They're probably watching
like, I don't
totally fucking confused of what's going on.
well,
You see a man with his shirt off.
so somebody did ask, can you ask him to stand up, please? And I think that's
Oh,
just to
yeah?
make sure
All
that
right.
he has
Stand-
pants on, probably.
All right. If you want to, we're not asking you to. But
I don't have to get up.
Whatever you feel is
tease.
right.
yeah, whatever you want to consent to.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you consensually wish to.
But we're
to
already
do.
going to be in a lot of trouble, so I'm going to go to jail.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. This sounds
You
too
better
familiar.
stand up if you don't want us to get arrested.
This sounds too familiar. Hold on. I have
Yeah.
a flashback.
Did you have a ADHD as a kid? Were you hyperactive as a kid? And I'm not saying that you were acting that way now, but I
Yeah.
have a son who's ADHD, and so when he fucking focuses, he is like that, where he's just like on someone. Were you that kind of? Did you have a
don't-
lot of energy when you were a kid? Like,
Yeah, but boxing kind of like took all that energy away. So I was very focused. Now when I said this one, I was like, yo, it's been months. I want to see what it felt like. So I was kind of like,
right.
I would do anything just to get.
And did you ever have sex with that girl?
Never had sex with her. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
I put in all that work. That wasn't even like the hardest thing I did.
And how long were you in trouble with your dad?
Bro, I can't remember. Like I remember I was turning white. That's how I didn't see the sun.
Yeah. Okay. And
I didn't understand where that was going at first.
like, all right. Anything else there, Austin?
We do have an ADHD survivor watching with us, so he feels your sympathy. And
Appreciate
no,
you.
other than that, I think we're ready to
All
recap.
right.
And
All right.
then just Spanish.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
I
Todd,
have
you
no
got
idea.
Todd, you
I'm
got
trying
something for me,
to decide.
Todd? What you thinking, Todd?
Yeah, I think this story is a lie.
What the?
Wow.
I think
what?
it's because I think the story actually ends with Malik forcing himself on that young lady.
Wait, time out. No, you remember he said if it's no, we don't go. What it Todd? Don't. Okay.
Todd's been hanging out with Brett too long. It sounds exactly like something Brett would say.
All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick recap for all of you guys that are listening on Spotify or iTunes or Podbean or however you're getting your podcast needs. Here's a little commercial about Blue Apron. For those of you that are playing along live, fuck that shit. Let's move on. Recap.
All right. LeeAnn's story 1. When she was younger than she is now, she worked at a topless bar as a waitress, and one night, a regular guy named Old Gay Steve with the good tips shows up, And this young fella, he usually courts is with him, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the story. She starts waiting on this other random dude that this gentleman's club worker, April, gets upset with LeeAnn for serving because this was her man. And she was a pretty tall
she
girl.
wasn't allowed to serve.
Just so we're clear, all the guys were at Steve's table. That's what Steve did. He brought in the younger dudes. Yeah.
And so this girl was pretty tall by comparison, and she stepped up to LeeAnn, and LeeAnn made the fatal mistake of poking the bear and pushed this giant over. Then she fell over the dancer's scale and injured her leg, so LeeAnn gets indignant, and the other girls back her up, and she looked so cool. And she was the hero for the day of this Houston Strip Club.
All right.
Story 2, she's a 9-year-old tomboy, and her little brother is 3. And they would go to Alabama as kids to see her grandma, and her mom made them lie about their age to get on a flight. But her brother can't lie for shit, probably runs in the family. They land, and the flight attendant escorts them off the plane into the arms of police officers. They get separated and grill her about their real age, and even then she couldn't lie. So she threw her mama under the bus and sold out her grandma, but they detained her for a little while and eventually let her go.
All right. How much money were you
And
making?
it made the local news.
Oh, it was on the news. That's right.
How much money were you making as a waitress at a strip club?
Yeah, you never answered that.
Well, no,
You never
because I
answered.
really don't know that I remember. It was really that long
You
ago.
don't know
but I would
roughly,
say,
like, what you
I
took home
remember
that night?
every fucking dollar
I
made
would
at a
say
strip
I
club.
remember the very first time that I waited
Uh-huh.
tables. I made $180, and I went home and I spread that shit out and was like fives and one, like $180 compared to $6 an hour at a day job was amazing.
And how long after that did you become a comedian?
Many, many, many years.
Yeah.
Many years. Yeah.
And you never got the bug to want to be able to strip yourself?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a dancer. Like I studied dance. I went to performing arts high school, so I was jealous that they got the stage time, and I did.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I was.
What kind of horse shit is that?
I was, and I talked to them. I said, "Can't I do?" Because they would do 2 songs. The first one they would be dressed. The second one they would be naked. I said, "Can't I just dance to one dressed?" And they were like, "No, girl, you got to be a waitress or a dancer." And I was definitely not a dancer, so I stayed a waitress.
Look at this little evil woman over this tiny little evil woman, how she lies.
I do have one thought
I'm
about the
kinda
second
believing it.
story.
Yeah, what is your thought?
What if she just lied about the changing of the ages, that she was actually 12 and her brother was actually 5, and she just threw that little, because he was asking for advice on, lying and telling a story and coming up with your stories or whatever. And I said, well, sometimes it's just a little tiny detail, it's like one little minor thing.
Does
that
anyone
just
have a
switches up the
dollar
story.
right now? Does anybody have a dollar on them? A dollar?
Not on me, no.
Yeah, do you have a dollar?
Are you going to try to give me $1?
Uh-huh. You got a dollar?
Oh, I got a 20.
That's we'll give it right back. We'll give it right
Maybe.
No, we won't.
back. All right. Wrap this around your hand like strippers did.
Oh, shit.
For the camera.
For the camera.
For the camera. Your camera's right there.
She's rapping.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I believe her. I am a believer in her. I don't even know what that was, but it just seemed like some stripper shit. I didn't. She was so confident. Teach me that after the show.
Does that change anyone's mind? Does that change?
Does
I was-
change my
Hell
mind.
yeah, that changed. Thank you. If it don't.
I was already believing it.
Oh, you were? So you
Yeah.
think this story is true?
I do. I think she was trying to
No.
trip us up.
Well, yeah, it does seem like one of those cases where the first story is so
Yeah, so
outlandish. She's like,
outlandish.
who would ever believe that about
Yeah.
sweet little old me?
And you know damn well Alabama don't care about kids. I'm
Nah,
sorry,
it's-
that went wrong.
Texas.
Texas. No, with the flight. The flight made the local news.
I mean, I wasn't around, but can anybody corroborate? Were they that big of a deal, like about kids flying? I
Thank
thought that you
you.
could pretty much.
Well, I know it's a
Isn't
big
back
deal.
Back then, no.
Back then, not. I mean, back when I was a kid, man, my mom would put me on the fucking bus from Colorado to California with a paper bag
Yeah, they
full
put-
of my clothes. And
Oh,
Pin a little something to your chest. And be
yeah,
like,
that was it. Yeah.
We had no
airport
pens.
security is
Don't sit
is
by the
nothing down
bathroom.
there,
Move
trust me.
on,
You
lady.
just mark your kid like you did your luggage.
I think the second
Yeah.
one is a lie.
You think the second one is a lie?
I think I'm gonna go with the same thing.
Yeah. What about you, Todd?
Everybody's on board now. Thanks for that, Felicia.
Thank you.
What about you, Todd?
I think the first one's still a lie.
I kind of think that too because I bet
But
you've
that was
been
so
a waitress.
fucking
I
confident,
know that
dude.
was good though. But I bet because you've waitressed other than that, right? Or is that
No,
the
I
only
haven't,
time?
actually.
Yeah. So that's how you probably learned how to do that anyway.
But
to
I don't
make the
think we're
money
grilling
like
her enough
that.
about the girl, like because
Yeah.
that could be the lie. Is that
She
she
said
just
she's
stepped
never-
up to the girl.
She's
Was-
never waitressed other than that.
Oh, really? Was the
Yeah.
girl a
You
dirty
said- yeah.
dancer? Did she give hand jobs in the club?
You know, I honestly never. I know that those things went on. I did
Uh-huh.
not see that, but that would be like, oh, they're in that dark corner. I'm not going to go take a drink order while whatever they're doing. So I wouldn't say she was the cleanest of dancers, but she wasn't one of the ones where you were like, oh, that bitch is,
Uh-huh.
doing things.
Okay. How are people voting?
Let me check real quick. It looks like Marino, Cal Wiggums, they're both going with the first story, the stripper story being a lie. Raver Basher is going with the second story being a lie. Nobody gave any context as to why they think that, but
Yeah.
What about my Spanish fans? What are they saying?
they're still talking, but I don't know about what.
Probably abs.
They're probably like, please, the guys that throw hot dogs at Dodger Stadiums hold their money like that. Anyway.
Do they really?
I don't know. So anyway, I think that the second story is true and the stripper story is a lie. I'm going to go against you because I went with you the other day.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Jess. I think the second story is a lie.
Talk in the mic, honey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. I think the second story is a lie, and the first story is the truth. Wait, no.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what she's saying. Yeah. All right.
I got you.
And you voted Austin?
Yeah, I'm going first story true, I guess. Just I hate switching. My gut is
Stripper
that the
true.
second story is
Stripper
true.
true.
but
Once
I think the
once
stripper-
I saw that, it was like
That's it. That's all I needed.
it was
if
like
nothing
stripper
else, I mean,
game
she
day.
at least worked at the club.
I know. Yeah. Now the fighting story. Yeah.
I don't know if the fighting part's true.
I know, but damn it, she sounded. I don't know because
All
she
right.
had hands.
And I don't feel like in the 80s the airports in Alabama cared if a kid was flying in.
That's why I agree with you 100%.
Unless they're setting off the drug dogs, they don't.
All right. Well, I think the
Agreed.
second story is the truth. So,
All right,
so
you're saying
what
plain
story
true.
is the lie?
Do I reveal?
Yes.
Which one's the lie?
The second story is the lie.
Yeah.
We winners, baby. We
And
winners,
I,
baby.
when you asked me to do that, I thought, do I do what I really know she's asking to see, or do I
But you was
fake
so-
it?
yeah,
But
I'm
I was,
glad you-
I was actually getting like irritated
Indignant. I
that
saw
you
that.
didn't believe it was me.
Saw that.
When
Yes.
Jess was like, I think she's feisty. I was like, fuck yeah, I'm feisty.
Don't
Damn
mess
it,
with
Jess.
Texas, baby.
And I don't know if showgirls fucking knew about it and wrote their goddamn movie on my life, but that is exactly what happened.
I saw it. She kind of low key. She imaginary pushed you with the little 20. Yes. Huh, mother.
Yeah.
Yo.
You were like, hold the money. I was like,
All right.
give me that shit.
Yo, I saw that shit.
All
What a
right.
20.
Super Saiyan after you gave her that dollar. She just
Yeah.
powered up. Right
Powered up. I didn't even see that. She convinced
But
me.
if I was playing right, I should have pretended like I didn't know what to
Well,
do.
damn it, I'm glad you did.
Oh,
Right?
yeah,
I'm glad you
yeah.
did.
I'm glad you did because it was so confusing.
God, I suck at my own game. Anyway, so
I cannot believe it's so funny because in the first story, when you guys weren't believing me, which is like the goal,
Uh-huh.
I was like getting like in my head going, "No, why don't they believe me?" And then on the outside, I'm like, "This is what you're supposed to be doing, man. Keep
Yeah.
going with it. You're
Right,
winning right now.
right.
They don't know."
well, good job, good job. Let's move on to Malik's stories.
All right, story one.
Spanish fans.
Back when he was a young lad in 2004 in Baton Rouge, his dad would take him to boxing practice, and he was really talented with this jab and an occasional left-hand punch he had, so he became the best boxer in the state, but his mom didn't believe it until the newspaper wrote an article about him. Then he was in the Golden Glove tournament, the best tournament that there is for boxing, and he was tall and lanky and undefeated with this little arm, so his mom drives with him to Mississippi to see this fight, and he gets matched up against a really, really good fighter who makes him look silly by beating him to a pulp. But thankfully, his mom was there to defend his honor and went back to throw down for her son because she already knew that he couldn't fight. So, story two, back when he was a young man in Baton Rouge, not sure what he was doing at that time because he didn't mention it a dozen times, but he was
chasing
probably chasing vagina.
Vagina.
And he had a sister who got accepted to college in Atlanta who had a green car that she left behind. And he planned to steal this car so that him and his buddy could go bang a couple of girls, but he gets busted by his dad. And he's begging this girl to sleep with him because it might be his last day of freedom, and she abstains. So he gets so thirsty, he goes over and asks the other girl, but she also turns him down. So he starts guilt-tripping the group. The buddy drives him home, and he bumps his sister's car, and then he learns his ABCs. I lost the last part.
Well,
I
it
forgot
wasn't no
what it
ABCs. It was
Yeah, I
the
forgot.
eight parts of speech.
was. Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
You know, the prepositional phrases.
Yeah, we've been out of school a lot longer than you, so shut up.
Yeah.
Wait.
And we're going to pretend we know what you're talking about. Okay, so
I love the summary section, by the way,
Yeah,
of this
yeah.
entire
Thank
show.
you.
It's
And by
so
the
great.
way, the sister didn't turn me down. I think she'd have done it if her boyfriend wasn't there. You know. Just be honest. I mean,
You know what's weird is like when Austin was doing the recap, and then he said that you got beat to the pulp. You got like mad for a second in your eyes. No, you totally did. We could rewind and look at your eyes. You were like, no, I didn't get beat to a pulp. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I got hit.
Like,
and if
He
that's
lost.
if that's the lie, why would you give a fuck?
I mean, well, cause I mean,
He would
got-
give a fuck no matter what. In any scenario, a lie or whatever that you say he's getting his ass kicked, he would be upset
Well,
about
I
that.
wasn't getting my. I mean, he had some shots. I mean, you know, but I was throwing
Can you
back.
stand up and do the one move that you learned in the
the jab.
beginning?
You and Jessica
by-
should face.
Yeah.
What do they call that? A face
Yeah.
face off?
So,
Or
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
Where they knuckle up.
Put the
you know?
camera up for my Spanish fans.
Yeah. You might have to do it sitting down.
No, because boxing is big in Mexico.
Well, you might not
Yeah.
be seen.
All right.
They're just looking at your belly button right now. But.
Look at the belt. We gotta.
You gotta do it lower though. You gotta do it lower.
Oh, like in a sit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is so I was doing this right, and I did this one. You see how fast that is?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And now I couldn't do the hook, and he kept coming inside, ducking. So I didn't have an inside game. So he just throw these shots, and they just make my face turn. When you make your face turn, the crowd, ooh. So I push off, and I try to do my jab again, and throw the left, and then he'll slip under, and just boom. I'm like, okay, and it wasn't. I didn't get beat up. My mom just got upset.
Wow. We might have a master liar
Well,
on our hands. I think.
There's two things
no
on this
master.
story.
Yeah.
Talk to me.
One, every time that you guys sort of questioned something about like the physical stuff, he threw in he kept saying like tall and lanky, like that was a phrase he had said, like, I remember you're tall and lanky during this time. I don't know, like
Right.
he just repeated it a couple of times. And then also when he initially told the story, the jab was keeping the person away, but the jab I just saw, the dude was like real close. I thought you were using that jab to keep him from ever.
Well, yeah, that's why I was throwing it out there. To jab is to keep you at bait for the left hand, but
Right.
he would.
But this looked like
Oh, well, because I didn't want to hit Jess.
Oh,
you know,
got it,
I'm
okay.
lanky.
All
That's
right.
what the lanky.
fair enough. Fair enough.
If it
Don't-
was reach,
don't
I can
hit
just
Jess.
touch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I had long arms, so the lanky.
That
part.
insight was riveting. Will you please? All right. What are people saying online?
Cal thinks that the mom throwing down story is total nonsense. Doesn't
yeah,
believe
you
any
think
of
so,
that.
Cal? Yeah.
I like it when somebody's certain like that.
Yeah.
Total nonsense.
Yeah.
Damn.
And
So-
anybody
You
else?
talking about my
That's kinda
mama?
where
She,
we're at right
it's
now.
not-
I think Marino, down as the first story being the lie. He actually voted as soon as you got done with your second story that both first stories were the lie. So
Oh shit.
he was wrong, obviously, on the first one or for LeeAnn. So who knows how much
I
credibility he
kind
has.
of now feel like that the second story parts of it might have been true, and he's twisting it up because so right. Look at Jessica. Look at Jess. She's like,
Also, while
yeah.
it would be great if his mom did that, if his mom didn't want to see you get your ass beat, then she doesn't seem like the kind of person that's ready to throw a beat. Like if she was like,
well, maybe
I
she-
wanna
Well, she was
see
a
kicks
southern
and
feisty woman like you, though. Like she's a southern feisty woman, but born in Louisiana.
Yeah,
raised
I
in
totally believe that part.
yeah.
that
That
should be, that
doesn't
should
I
trip me
believe
up at
less.
all.
It was an all black gym, and you understand. It was like that's right. Like people were shooting.
Well,
like,
is the Golden Glove only for black people?
well, it's down south. It was like black and white. And I guess
That's a
these,
good point,
these
Jessica,
white
because the
fighters,
guy that I know that was a Golden Glove fighter is a white guy.
yeah, but in the south, like I guess a
He's
lot of
in
white
from
guys,
the south.
they have segregated boxing matches?
Well, no, I guess they didn't get
When was
into
this?
the. You gotta qualify to get in, and I guess all the
Oh.
best fighters were black.
That
Well,
would make sense.
I could believe that.
Yeah, me too.
Fuck, I don't know. I'm gonna go with Jessica. Jessica, you think the first story is a lie or the truth?
I'm actually going to say the first one is true, that the second one is a lie, because I do think that Malik is
Phenomenal boxer.
he is a phenomenal boxer.
Does he box now? Do you know that about
Speak
him?
from the heart.
He is
We're
very
not talking about your
active.
personal boxing
Yeah.
matches between
Yeah.
the two
Me
of
and
you.
Brian Callen fight all the time.
Yeah.
If anybody want to.
You do know that to be a fact? That he boxes?
I don't know that. I know that he works out and does the shit with Brian Callen, so I'm sure they do the whatever. Yeah, I'm sure they fight. They
All
probably-
right, so I'm saying the first story is true. You're
The
saying-
second one, I think he's more of a gentleman that he's letting on. I don't think he would have asked that other. Maybe did happen with his girlfriend. He did steal the car, but I don't think he ever would have asked that other girl if she would sleep with him
Yeah.
at 15.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was
yeah.
a good-looking kid. You know.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
Look, you totally just called it. Look, don't give it up yet. But you
Because-
totally look at this motherfucker over
Any
here.
guy who says that obviously has gotten some pussy before.
Yeah.
Anyone who's like, let me take.
Yeah. All right, I'm with you. I'm going to say the first story is true about the
Golden
mother.
Gloves, true.
The mother beating up another mother at Golden Gloves. And the second story about
The sex.
the sex thing. Yeah, because I don't think
Lie.
if the way he kept saying, yeah, I'm going to get some vag, some tail. I think that's all silliness.
That's all putting on, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change mine, I guess.
Yeah.
Duh.
I'm
I'm
gonna,
never right. Don't go with me. I'm never right.
Jessica sold me on that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm with you.
Todd?
Sex is a lie.
Anyone? Todd? No? Todd?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is a lie.
Yeah, I think the story about Malik getting beat up is true, and the story about him not molesting the girl is false.
What the fuck?
Todd, what is
Because he thinks the story had a different ending.
And besides, as soon as I said that I thought you were gonna say something where it became kind of rapey, like we kind of alluded to that, then he totally backed off, and so that's why I don't believe that second story too, is because I think you're even though you're clowning us and stuff, I don't think
I feel like he did make all those plans and all that, and I'm sure that he tried. And I'm sure he didn't ask that other girl.
Yeah. All right.
No, he
so-
probably made all the plans and had sex for the first time and got laid. and
Maybe.
that's-
Yeah.
I doubt it, but maybe.
Wait, doubt it. Wait.
All
Hold
right.
on now. I
So
still look
which
the same.
story is the lie?
The second story is a lie.
Shit. That was the first
That's
time.
okay. We know
God
you're a good guy.
damn.
We
First
know you're a
time I
good
think in
guy.
Liars Club history that across the board, the booth, in the
What the
studio,
hell? She just-
everybody busted
I didn't
you.
ask her for sex. I would never ask my friend girl for how the. Ugh.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Certainly,
Yeah.
not someone who's never.
And also too, when he said he beat your ass, you really were like, what?
Yeah.
Your eyes, you couldn't
Yeah.
stop it. Like,
Say, hold on
like,
now.
No. I mean, he beat. He won, but he didn't beat my
He
ass.
he kept saying that. I was
You should've
like,
seen the look in
rewrite
their
your
eye.
notes. I was like, yeah. I ain't like
Rewrite
that
your
summary.
summary.
I ain't like the summary recap.
In that second
Was
story,
there-
you should have told the girl that you were Willie Mack, and she probably would have let you in the bedroom.
Oh.
Oh shit!
What is it? No, honestly, bro.
There's going to be a boxing match in here in a minute.
Well, you guys have been wonderful guests.
Thank you so
so
much
much
for
for
having
spending
me.
the
So
afternoon
fun.
with us. Where can people find you? What do you got shaking? Do you want to shout something out?
Not shaking anything these days. I'm at LeeAnn Tooker. All my things are LeeAnn Tooker, like hooker, but with a T.
See, we should have known, dude.
Yeah.
We've got
Should have known.
a monthly. Yeah, exactly. The name should have tipped you off. I have a monthly show at Westside Comedy Theater called Ugly Fruit, the fourth Friday of every month. I'll be in April. I'm doing the Moscow, Idaho Comedy Fest. If anyone knows anyone in Idaho, please send them out to support.
Yeah.
And follow me and let's be friends.
Wonderful. What about you, Malik?
How you doing, ladies and gentlemen?
Oh, my God.
Oh Jesus!
I'll be sharing my information if you want to follow me.
I'll be following him.
Yeah, she'll be following me as well. I'm in West Palm Beach this Thursday through Sunday with Brian Callen. So if you want to come down there, have a good time. I think tickets are not sold out on the Sunday show at 7. So please support. Get that sold out. I will be on San Francisco on the 25th at Cobb's Comedy Club for Make-A-Wish Foundation with Brian Callen. And tickets are not sold out, so still some left. I'll be on the 28th through the 29th. I'll be in Omaha, Nebraska with Brian Callen. I think some.
Now, who's Brian Callen?
Brian Callen.
The
Okay.
only
Yeah, he's
comedian
an
that'll
asshole.
take Malik out.
Wow, that's awesome. Good for you. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's huge.
Why would you?
That's so huge.
I
though.
know more comedians.
Don't wither now. Don't
Do
make her
ya?
wither you. Yeah.
I do. Casey.
Well,
I'll be in.
wonderful for you. And people can follow you all across
Oh
the board.
yes, Malik M-A-L-I-K, and my last name is French. Bazille, Bazille. Thank you so much.
All right. Todd, do you want to shout any information out for yourself?
Yeah, you can follow me at TWalker732, and you can follow Mike Schmidt here at Taylor Swift Lover.
Oh my God. Our boss loves Taylor Swift. Oh my God. You come in here and he's watching that fucking documentary
Documentary?
over
Are you
and
serious?
over again.
That's
yes,
a great documentary,
yes.
by the
Now
way.
he's
I
going to
watched it.
storm off. He's angry.
He was angry about it not winning at the Oscars last night.
I know. So what about you, Austin? Where can people find you, and what do you got shaking?
I'm at the Austin Walker across the board. You can see the Liars Club live this Valentine's Day. Bring your lovers down to the Ice House because it is going to be a sexy show.
Yeah, we got
in
really
the-
fun acts.
Yeah.
This really is a fun show.
It's going to be
Thank
fun.
you.
It's a
Thank
fun
you.
show.
And we are back here at the Belly Room of the World Famous Comedy Store March 3rd at 8 o'clock, and that's going to be a big one. So make sure you get your tickets as soon as we get the link out there.
Yeah, and by the way, Liza Traeger is going to be on that show from
Mhm.
Netflix's A Degenerate, so it's really going to be a great show. Jack Jr. is going to be on that show, and Brady Matthews, very
Matthews.
funny and also very talented artist, is going to be on that show. Plus, we keep adding more. On the Ice House show, we have a bunch of sexy motherfuckers on that show. Bring
we
your
have
ladies.
a guy named Fabrizio.
Bring your ladies, bring your fellas, and come out to the Ice House. And also, we are going to be on tour in March. Jessica is going to be opening for Russell Peters. We want to give those dates.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be the 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd.
And then we are going to go to Birmingham, Alabama at the
On the-
Star Dome. That's going to be a fantastic show.
Yep, on the
Yeah.
25th and 26th of March.
And then we are going to be at the North Carolina Comedy Festival in Raleigh.
And no, in Greensboro.
Greensboro, my apologies.
On the
Greensboro.
27th, 28th, 29th.
Yes, and so that's going to be a lot of fun. You can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels. If you hadn't heard me pitch this before, please, if you have Amazon Prime, go watch Pervs. It's a documentary that I directed. It has Felipe Esparza, Joey Diaz, Paul Provenza, Lori Kilmartin, and many, many more comedians on it. And it's a lot of fun. And that's it. Follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels.
Follow me at Jess Wellington 2 on everything. I do want to mention really quick, I'm sorry, at the end of this month, the 27th, 29th, and 1st, I'm going to be with Mo Mandel at Harvey's in Portland, Oregon. So come hang out with us, please. And you guys have been lied to.